How has AI affected your business?
You know, I've not given much thought to AI until recently. As a matter of fact, just last week, so it's funny you bring this up. I was trying to brainstorm for, Dilly's Cantina. So you're thinking kind of, taqueria and Mexican style food. How do you do that and play that into a St. Patrick's Day weekend? So I'm trying to rack my brain, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just see how this AI thing works. And so I typed in, Mexican Cantina, St. Patrick's Day menu, and enter. And so, the way I like to do things, and when I see things in a ingredients list or a menu or something like that, is I'm like, oh, well, this looks good, but this looks good. So what if I take this and I take this and then morph it into what I want it to be? And so that's kind of what I did. So like I literally created my menu for St. Patrick's weekend through AI. I mean, awesome. I was very impressed with it. I was like, this is a good idea. And what I liked about it is it gave me options to keep selecting more. And so, yeah, I generated a whole menu off of AI.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about it all the time and how AI is going to, and people look at it as like a negative thing. Oh, it's going to take away jobs. But I look at it the same way you did. For instance, half the stuff that we do at this podcast, we do with AI.
Okay.
And for instance, you just create a menu off AI, and everybody could be like, "Oh, he created a menu off of AI." Well, hold on a second. He could have spent 3 days trying to create a menu, if not more, trying to dive down,
or his
banging my
entire
head
life.
on a table
Right.
like that, like
then trying to prepare.
Yeah.
Okay, now how am I going to switch it around? What am I going to call it? What am I going to do this? Whereas AI does like 80% of the work, and now he can be creative. Now you can use the creative aspect of your brain. Okay,
Yes.
brain, how do I take this information and create something that's me?
Absolutely, which is what I really loved about it, is because I'm looking at one. It was like a Guinness beef braised taco, but then 2 things down it said something about lamb. But I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What if I pull, instead of Guinness braised beef, we do a Guinness braised lamb, and then I can throw in some pickled, onions and some, goat cheese, and kind of just play off of that. And so I'm like, wow. And I really like that, because it takes time away from me to have to sit there and rack my brain. And the older I get, the slower that brain keeps, it keeps slowing down. So I really was very impressed with it. One of the guys that we hired on at Big Dog Daddy's, he's brilliant when it comes to media things and putting together menus and stuff like that. And so, like, he himself uses it for, if you look at our website, the way things are worded, he's running it through AI. And so I'm really seeing the value of it. And honestly, it's funny you say that. Maybe it's something I need to start leaning on a little bit more for my business and see if it would be able to help streamline things. So,
well, it's just okay. So, once again, to go back to that, people say it's going to take jobs away. Like it opens opportunities for somebody. For instance, I am by far not the most technically software driven individual, right? But with AI, I can, instead of spending 5 hours editing a 3-hour podcast, I can do it in about 30 minutes, which then allows me to research other things or find guests or talk to, different people about some things they're doing. If I'm, and this is something we just recently started doing, if we're trying to get more attention on social media, I can use AI to say, create a SEO driven, with trendy hashtags description of this video based off of X, Y, and Z, and it does it for me. And like I said, I don't have to copy it verbatim, but I can get some ideas out of that where I'm able to use, and that saved me 30 to 40 minutes, so I can go spend time with my wife still,
right? No,
or
absolutely.
I can go do something that I want to do. And I think it'll create even more opportunity for people to do something that they normally wouldn't do because they don't have that time to learn that step in between the action and not knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's great for business plans. We talked about, creating a guys' night network. There's a lot of networking companies out there where they have people from this and people from this, and you pay to get in it, and there can only be one person from each job. And I was like, well, what about just a network for men in general in a community that, if you don't have a job, you could show up and just say, this is a little bit about me. I'm looking for work. And there's enough people there that they're like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to do this. Or just as different ways that you can kind of create a community. And AI gave me a whole business plan in like 13 seconds flat. And I could have kept going more in depth and said, oh, if I don't like this, what did you do? And it would tell me. And it's like, lot of stuff that's coming out that with that's going to help people maximize their business. And like you said, now that you're spreading yourself a little more thin with an extra place to manage, if you can save yourself a day of trying to figure out a menu and do it in 10 minutes, awesome.
Yeah.
It allows you to be more creative with the menu as far as the ingredients, but you have kind of a basis and idea. Like I wouldn't know what to call a St. Patty's Day taco, but I'm sure AI would give me a great 3 or 4 names for it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I just kept scrolling through. I'm like, well, that's a really good idea. I'm like, wow, you actually are pretty smart.
Oh man.
I think just AI is just a giant time saver for a lot of things. Like, you can focus on other aspects of your career or your business when you use AI 100%.
I just hope it's done within boundaries, right?
Yes,
you know,
correct.
don't create yourself to be a lazy worker.
Yes,
right.
You know,
correct.
still be productive from you and your brain, and be able to be
Yes.
like, this is what, you know, make things matter. I just don't want it to generate laziness. I mean,
No,
that's
I
the
agree.
thing we struggle with in this day and age. Period.
Or creativeness.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of
Yes,
people.
for sure.
Yeah, because a lot of
Creativity,
people
yeah.
like want to use AI for almost everything. I have a friend that literally refuses to type up work emails, and so he literally downloads his paperwork and AI writes his emails.
Well, but I mean, that's brilliant.
It is good. I mean, that's a great thing, but I'm just like, I'm like, geez.
I emailed my boss something the other day. It was retro to this return to this email. I was working with a client. This guy's known me for like 3 or 4 years. He's known me after a few drinks and everything in between. So I sent him this email, and he goes, and I included my direct boss on it as well as my CRO, and he's like, "Well, I've known you for long enough to know that you did not write this email." It's like, what are you talking about? I absolutely copy and pasted it from ChatGPT and posted it in here. I had to give ChatGPT the initiative. Like, I had to tell them what I wanted. They just made it sound a lot more, a lot better and more eloquent than I would make it sound, because I'm talking to the CRO of a multi-million-dollar organization and not to my buddy I'm drinking beers with.
Survive the nights in the fray. Nothing